All right, today is the 6th. Get everything uploaded. All right, cool. Hey guys, how's it going? Looks like there's a few people already in here. So what I'm gonna do right now, guys, I'm going to send this out to all of the K2 groups in our social media so that people can join. So just sit tight for a little bit, and then once I have all that ready, we can get started. Send these links out. All right, now I can send these out to the Telegram as well. All right, let me just get this on the I have the wrong one. All right, cool. Let me get this on the Instagram real quick, and then we can get started. Instagram. All right, copy this link. I'll just post this. Swipe up to join the K2 live training plus training webinar. All right, cool. So it looks like people are still coming in. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes, guys, before we start. And then we can kick it off. But we'll see if there's anything worth taking right now, or like, anything we'll really look at. Due to that drop earlier this morning, I mean, the market's been kind of screwed up. As you can see, it's been moving slow, or it's just been spiking. So the problem is price spiked a bunch. For a lot of these pairs, like the CHF pairs, all the safe haven currencies, basically the CHF, the JPY, they all kind of spiked. So the problem with price right now, it's either going to go like one or two ways. It's either going to correct back upwards to where it was originally, or it's going to continue downward. So it just depends on how the market reacts to everything. But we can't be certain exactly, where it's going to move until something actually happens, because we don't want to predict where the market's going to go. We more so want to react to, how the market reacts to the news earlier and how it's going to react after. So let me make sure everyone's on here real quick. I got a couple of questions on here, but I'm going to there. This is here. Look at those questions later. All right, I think we're good for the most part. All right, guys. So if you guys are new here, feel free to put any questions you guys have in the YouTube chat, and I can answer pretty much any question you have, with regard to K2 or just trading in general. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna go down each pair and pretty much analyze and see if we have anything coming up It's 5:30 right now, so the candle is going to close in about 30 minutes. Let's see the timer for this. Yeah, about 30 minutes. The 4-hour candle is going to close. So we'll be looking for any possible entries off that candle close. But yeah, if you guys want me to look at anything specific or cover any specific K2 strategies, feel free to put them in the chat, and then I could pretty much look over anything you guys want. So let me check the, let's see if there's news today. So I'm gonna look at the calendar, bring it over here. Looks like we have, we're actually, yeah, we're clean for the day. So there's not really much news. The only problem was, like I mentioned earlier, that spike that happened with, pretty much every pair. Well, not every pair, but every US dollar pair and, everything that directly correlates with it, specifically the safe haven currencies like the CHF and the JPY. So let me mute this. All right, cool. So let's check this out. All right, Nassim wants us to check out US 30. So I'll take a look at that first, actually. I think I have it marked up over here already. So I got this right here. This was our entry earlier, guys. So, some of you guys got out at TP1. Some of you guys didn't, because this is a crazy drop. You can see that it dropped within like 10 minutes. It dropped, it dropped crazy. I wasn't even on the chart during that time, but it hit TP1 up here, and then it literally dropped like 7,000 pips. Like, that's crazy. I don't know how it caused it that bad, but it literally sunk like within like 30 minutes. But yeah, I'll analyze it right now. I'll see if there's, anything worth taking. So let's go to US 30 real quick. Let me just mark up the zone so that we can see exactly where the rejection points are. So I'm going to update this. Let me save it. I just want to take off these old alerts because we're not really looking at them anymore. All right, cool. So here's US 30. I'm going to delete this stuff because this trade is over. And yeah, I'm going to go and mark up my zones on the 4-hour. So here's how the chart normally looks. It's a naked chart. What I do is I turn on the K2SRs version 2, and then I draw my zones on the chart so that I can see where price is likely to reject from. So we got one right here. We got another one right here. Another one right here. Another one right here. Small one right there. I bet I have a bigger one right here. And lastly, let's just move this down to this one over here. And lastly, this one right over here. All right, cool. So I'm gonna take that off the chart. And you can see right here that price generally respects these zones pretty nicely. I mean, if you didn't have these zones on the chart, it'd be kind of hard for you to identify where the rejections are, right? Because if you look at the chart here, I mean, it's hard to see where price really rejected from, because the thing with US 30 is it's bouncing around so much that there can be, a zone right here, a zone up here, a zone down here. There can be a ton of zones everywhere. So to take out the guesswork, we use the K2 SR version 2 indicator, and I put them on the chart already right there. And you can see that price generally respects these zones pretty nicely. Like, price broke the zone, came up, pulled back, and it pretty much just bounces from zone to zone. So like I mentioned over here, this was a crazy drop that happened earlier today just because Trump said, he wasn't going to work on the stimulus bill. So let's check this out. 7,000 pips right there. That's a huge drop within a short period of time. Yeah, Boost said, I believe Trump said he would delay stimulus talk until elections. Yeah, so that's the main thing that dropped the US 30 and all the US pairs and all their directly correlated pairs. That was like a shocker because I wasn't expecting it to drop this much like in such a short time. But I mean, we'll see, because Trump will say one thing, he'll cause it to drop, and he'll say something else, and then he'll cause it to shoot right back up. So it's super uncertain. And that's why I don't really like to swing trade US 30, because US 30 moves so fast. And if your account's not big enough, it's so easy for you to blow the account if you don't have enough margin. But looking right here on the 4-hour, I can turn on the momentum indicator. And you can see that we had this sell momentum right here. So, I mean, what might happen is, okay, so this is going to be hard because say if we didn't have this news right here, right? If this news event didn't cause this drop and we got a normal sell signal like we did right here, obviously it would come down and test, one of the zones from the lower end. The problem with this signal candle right here is that this was a manipulated move. This was due to the news. So what might happen here is it might just correct back up. But we can't be for sure until, we actually see some sort of confirmation that it's actually heading back up. Because the thing is, since prices dropped down this far, the bears might have joined the market and they're trying to keep they're going to try to keep pushing US 30 down. So, it's really a coin toss. It's not something that I recommend trading right now because, so here's like one of the two scenarios. It can either correct back upwards and, either reject off here and then come back down, or continue upwards, or it can, let me just delete this stuff because it's going to confuse you guys. So this is one scenario where it can correct back upwards, maybe retest this resistance and then come back down or break through it, or it can just continue down from where it currently is. Because this candle is, it's an indecisive candle. There's no real strong confirmation. Like even right here, if we were to see this candle right here, it's not a strong confirmation that a bullish move is about to follow. However, after this candle closes, we can kind of have a better understanding as to how it's going to move. So, either that can happen where it shoots up, or it can just continue down and test this zone or test this zone down here. But I mean, there's no real way to really know because let's see if there's news tomorrow. So there's actually some high impact US news tomorrow at 11. It's the FOMC meeting minutes. So that might affect the market depending on, what the news is. It could be good, it could be bad. So me personally, I mean, there's no reason to risk US 30 right now. Unless you're like 100% positive or you have some sort of edge in the market, which I don't think anyone has an edge right now because anything can happen at this point, due to this drop. If this was a normal drop, like I mentioned over here, let's see. So if it was a normal sell signal, like right here, let me just give you a comparison. So right here was a normal sell signal. If we had this, obviously it came down and tested the zone, right? Same situation over here. We got a sell signal. What did it do? It came down, tested the zone like it did right here, and then rejected back up. Same situation right here. We got a sell signal, right? A valid sell signal. What did it do? We got that valid sell signal, came down, tested the zone, and then shot right back up. Same situation here. Valid sell signal. What did it do? Test the zone down here, and then it shot back up. So this thing right here isn't about, I mean, it's a valid sell signal, but it was based on news. So it's not a normal drop. Let's see. Nassim said, well, that gap filled for US 30. If you see it, I mean, technically it didn't. This is a huge gap right here, Nassim. So there's still a lot of ways to go. So it barely moved up 1,500 pips. The whole gap right here was 7,000 pips. So I'm not sure which gap you're talking about, but this is the gap that happened from this morning. It still has a long way to go. So if it's only right here, there's still 5,000, 6,000 pips to go. So I'm not sure if you see a different gap, but this is the gap that I see because this happened from the news today. This literally started at 11. That's when the news happened. And then that's when it dropped. So it's still got a long way to go. I wouldn't consider this filling the gap. This would be okay, so this right here, this would be filling the gap, right? Because it filled this drop that happened from whatever happened at this point. I'm not sure if there was news on this day or something, but this would be considered filling the gap. Same with this. This would be considered filling the gap too, because price came down and then it came right back up. So that's what I'm saying with this right here. This hasn't filled yet. It's still got, a long way to go. So I'm not sure, if we see something different, which we could be seeing something different. I mean, everyone analyzes the chart totally differently. So if it's me analyzing it, I don't see any filling right here. This is barely any small correction back upwards. Plus we're in Asia session. So, okay, let's see. Nassim said the one between the 2nd and 3rd of October, Wade usually says it needs to fill. Let's see, 2nd and 3rd. I mean, you should probably talk to Wade about that because Wade analyzes it differently. This is, for me personally, if I'm looking at the chart, Here, I'll just show you what I see. I'll just take everything off the chart. So when you see a drop like this, right, and then it comes right back up, that's filling the gap in my perspective. Same with right here, price drops and then it comes back up, that's filling the gap. This is barely pushed up at all. So I don't think this is really filling the gap right here, based on the news. And if you're looking at the same one where, okay, so you're talking about between the second and the third, I don't think this was, so I don't know if you consider this a gap. Let's see, second and third. So if you're looking at second to the third, which is right here, I don't know if this is this doesn't look like a gap to me. This just looks like a normal move up. See, because the candles are normal candles. They're not a huge drop. Like right here, this is a huge drop, right? So this dropped and then it filled the gap, right? I don't think this is considered a gap from the 2 to the 3rd. Like this would be a gap. Like this huge candle right here, this would be considered a gap. So I don't know if, if we're analyzing things differently. We probably are, because I don't really analyze like that. I trade off momentum. Like I don't try to catch any of these, fill in the gap type things. So you might want to ask Wade about that, because I don't trade that way. So, our analysis is probably not going to line up at all, because generally what I do is I just try to see the momentum move and then I ride the momentum. That's how we normally trade. So if you're trading just basically off price action, then I'm probably not the guy to ask. You should probably ask. Okay, yeah, Nassim said, yeah, my fault. It's because I meant the space between the green candles. It was open. Oh, okay, let me see. Oh, you're talking about this right here. This is because it was the weekend. The market always gaps over the weekend. Normally a gap to me would be if there's a spike in price because of news or because something crazy happened. Like, this is a huge spike. Like this would be considered a gap down because it just gaps. But this happens every week. Like you can see right here, it always gaps because the market's closed. So the market closes at the specific time and then it reopens here. So there's always going to be a gap every weekend. See right here, there's a gap. There's a gap right here. Same with right here, there's a gap. I wouldn't consider that a gap move though. That's just, it just happens every week because the market closes and reopens. But if we're looking at this gap right here from today's move, this is what I thought you were talking about, because price literally came from up here and then it gapped straight down in like a few minutes. So that's why I considered a gap. So, obviously that's where our miscommunication was. That's why I meant like we were probably looking at two different things. But yeah, I don't know. You probably would have to talk to Wade about that specific gap there, because I just consider that a normal move, because it happens every week. Like you can see, I can just draw a circle somewhere over here. So let's see. So there's a gap right there. There's a gap right here. Like it happens every single week. It's nothing new. It's just, it just always happens. So yeah, if you're looking for that specifically, maybe you should talk to someone that knows, like that focuses on price action, because I don't trade price action. So it wouldn't really my opinion wouldn't really matter, because I just I trade one specific way. Let's see. So Nassim said, I realize that whenever some news comes out with Trump, that's kind of big shoot. Yeah, exactly. That normally happens, because whatever Trump says is going to affect the U.S. economy, and U.S. 30 is directly related. It's directly correlated with the U.S. economy, because it's the U.S. stocks. So whenever Trump says anything, that's bound to happen. That, like every time we saw these drops right here, these are probably because Trump said something, or some COVID news came out. So it's kind of hard to really pinpoint what's a normal move and what's a manipulated move, because obviously this was a manipulated move. I can't remember what happened here. There must have been something on the first that happened to push price, and all these other big candles, because you can tell what's a normal candle. Like these smaller candles that are about 100 pips, or 1,000 pip move, 100 points equivalent to 1,000 pips. This is like a normal move to me. This is a gap right here, or a large spike that was caused by something that happened in the market. This is like 10,000 pips. So you can see the huge difference between the two. But yeah, I mean, there's not much that we can really based off. Because so if you're trying to trade off this to fill a gap, you're basically gambling at that point, because literally you have a 50% chance. Price could either come back to fill it or it can continue down. So me personally, that's not how I like to trade. I like to trade if I have an edge. This is literally just flipping a coin. You could either buy and then hope that it comes up, or you can sell and hope that it comes down. Which there's no problem with trading it that way. Let's see. It seems to damn I wish it was back when in the day when normal trades. Oh yeah, no, for sure. And it seemed like our trade today. Our trade today was actually, it was a pretty good trade. Like it went to TP1. So let's see. I'm just gonna take everything off the chart. We went to let's see. The entry was 630 right here. Yeah, so the entry was right here. And then it hit TP1, which is 750. Or 75 actually. So what happened here was, price retraced down a little bit and then it shot right up. Like we were anticipating it to shoot straight to full TP over here. But as soon as it hit TP1, it literally tanked like crazy. Like this was something that nobody could have predicted or knew was going to happen, unless you're a market maker and you had some kind of insider information. But normally, there was really no way for us to predict this was going to happen. And this is why I always recommend using the exit strategy, because a lot of people still got out of this trade. Let me see. I think there was a decent amount of people like Kyson over here got 74 bucks off that trade. That was like half profit, because normally it'd be about 75 minus, whatever fees. And then there was a good amount of people here that still hit profit for that specific trade. Like Enzo over here, he lost some, but then he won some. So he won some right here, but then he lost some as well. So whoever was managing their trades properly, like right here, Stanley, Antoinette over here, if you guys manage them properly and moved your stop loss and profit, you could have been perfectly fine. However, some people weren't fast enough to move their stop loss, and then this crazy spike happened. And this isn't normal. This only happens when Trump says something, or if something crazy just happens, I don't know, in the market, like some COVID stuff. But yeah, me personally, I wouldn't trade, just from my perspective, I wouldn't trade US 30 right now, unless you have some sort of edge. Like, Wade might have some sort of edge where he analyzed it, and he has a good idea where price is going to go. However, for me, I don't see the edge in the market right now, because the thing is, when a manipulated move happens, like I just said over here, you never really know if it's going to continue up or if it's going to just continue down. Like right here. See, I'm sure when this dropped right here, I'm sure a lot of people tried to buy here because they thought it was going to shoot right back up, right? But look what happened. If you bought there, you would have gone screwed because it dropped right after. This is how they lure people into the market. And this is why, I don't fall for the tricks. Because if you saw this right here, this looks like a clear move up, right? So if you saw that, you're like, oh yeah, this is a huge bullish move, because you see a low getting established here, and then you see this nice strong bullish candle, right? So if you're a normal trader that just trades price action, this is why I don't trade price action, because everyone else does it. And if that's all you trade and you don't mix it with something else, you're gonna get burned. Like one way or another, you're gonna get burned. So like right here, this is a clear trend up, right? Obviously, if you're just trading price action and you saw this drop right here, you saw the rejection, a nice bullish move, you probably would have taken a buy right here, right? So if you took a buy right here, look what happens. It went straight to a stop loss. And then it pushes up a little bit right here so they can continue to trick you. So this is what happens. Look, people who trade price action, by itself, they see this right here and they're like, all right, I'm gonna take a buy. And then they get stopped out. And then they see this bullish move back up. They're like, all right, this time it's got to be a buy. So they see the rejection off this point. They see that bullish candle. They enter another buy right here. And then look what happens. Stop loss again. You get caught in their trap. And this is how they trick a lot of people. Like a lot of new traders, not even new traders, like traders that just trade one specific way and don't know how to analyze the market any differently. That's how they get burned. And this is why I don't trade price action. This is why I don't teach price action, because, I don't like, I'm probably never going to trade like everyone else. You guys have seen our track record with K2. Our system works. So there's no point in changing it or doing something different, because obviously I have like every trade documented since January and it seems pretty accurate to me. So it just really depends on you, if you want to do that. But I would be careful if you're trading US 30 right now, because like I mentioned right here, this could either continue up or it can, come back down like it did right here. So here's two different scenarios. So that was one scenario I was telling you about right there, right? So this is how they trick you. Right here they trick you because they keep stopping you out right here. So then what happens is you lose your confidence and you're like, crap, I'm not going to do that again, right? So the thing is right here, if you see this move right here, and then this could have been a decent buy as well, you probably would have avoided it because you got burned so many times right here, like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 times. If you kept trying to re-enter this correction, but like right here, if you would have just skipped this trade too, because you're like, oh, I got burned up here, so I'm not going to do that again. But if you ended up taking that trade, and this would be price action here. So like price comes down, it's establishing lower lows, and then it comes down right here, and then it starts to push back up, and we have some nice bullish candles right here. So if you took this trade, you would have ended up winning at some point. And that's why you kind of have to factor price action with something else. It doesn't have to be K2, it could be anything else. But I highly recommend it. I don't recommend just trading strict price action or trading naked charts. Like a lot of people hate against indicators, but the thing is, you turn into the indicator if you start applying a certain strategy. Like if you're trading price action, the indicator is just something that's been automated to identify what you already look for on the market. So I don't know. I'm going to stick with the K2 indicators because they work, and it's like up to you guys if you guys want to use them or not. Let's see. So Nassim said the K2 strategy with the green and red lines work also for London session, right? And if so, it's 3 a.m. Eastern, right? Because some people say it's 2 a.m. Yeah, no, it's 3 a.m. Eastern because London opens at midnight my time. So midnight Pacific Daylight Savings Time is going to be when London opens, and then for Eastern it's going to be 3 p.m. 3 a.m. because you guys are 3 hours ahead. Be right back, guys. I'm running to the restroom. All right, cool. I'm back. Let's see. But yeah, and it seems so for the K2 daily US 30 strategy, it would start at midnight. So basically midnight my time, 3 a.m. your time. But okay, so let me keep going down the questions. Let's see. John said, I saw it dropping and closed. Nice, John. Yeah, I actually got stopped out of that one. But thankfully, I was just using my Hugo's Way account, my small one, with a 0.01. So I only lost $150, but it was cool because what's the other trade we had active? Our Forex trade. So we had Euro NZD open. So even though I lost on that US 30 trade, I still made like 300 on Euro NZD. So it pretty much balanced out the loss and then gave me extra profit. So thankfully that worked out. But yeah, so I'm done with US 30. Let me see what else we got here. All right, cool. So Donahue wants us to check out GJ and or UJ. Let me scan the charts real quick because the 4-hour candle is closing in about 6 minutes. I'm gonna see if there's any entries, and then once we figure that out, we can start going over more pairs. So let's see, we're on OddCAD right here. It's kind of hard to identify whether there's any good entries because like I mentioned earlier, see this big spike down? this was because of the whatever Trump said earlier. So it's the same situation with US 30 where price can either correct back up or it can continue back down. So it creates kind of a sticky situation because you don't want to enter the trade in the wrong direction. And it's kind of hard for you to gauge what the direction is because price can either be correcting or it can be continuing downwards. So let's see, we got nothing there. It looks like all of the Aussie pairs were affected pretty heavily, even with, so this right here is CAD CHF. The reason why this one got affected and it came down was because the CHF is a safe haven currency. So the problem with that is, when Trump said that he wasn't going to talk about the stimulus anymore, a lot of the money went into safe haven currencies like CHF and JPY. So you'll see a lot of CHF pairs. If they're on the right side, you'll see them going down. Same with JPY. If they're on the right side, they're going down as well. See, look at this drop right here. And this is tough because you don't want to enter a trade in that direction and then it ends up correcting back later. So let me check the news real quick. I'm going to see if there's anything anything that's happened since then. Oh man, so let's see. Yeah, Trump kills fiscal stimulus negotiations. That's basically what happened earlier. I don't know if there's anything newer that happened. Let's see. Wow, world's most expensive piece of ham, 14,000. It's crazy. Let's see. Nestor, COVID. So it looks like the U.S. economy is not going to be doing well anytime soon because it looks like, yeah, obviously Trump killed the stimulus negotiations. So, there goes the good news for the stimulus. That's a long time. He's going to hold it off for a whole month. So that's not going to help the US dollar or the market go up. Also, yeah, some COVID news didn't seem like it's good at all either. And I think that's about it for the most part. Yeah, so it doesn't look like the US dollar is going to recover anytime soon. So it looks like all of these are going to be dropping. So this right here, the CHF is going to be dropping, also the JPY. But here's the problem: if a lot of people are going to be doing the same thing. So if you want to like ride that hype, the problem is the market makers might just spike price up. Like, there's a bunch of little traders that are trying to hop into these sells. What the market makers and institutions could do is they can shoot it right back up to stop everyone out and then drop it back down. So it's a little risky. It's not something that I would really want to be entering. CHF. This is an iffy pair because they're both safe haven currencies. So I'm not really certain whether it'll go up or down because they're both the same type of currency. Okay, so Euro odd. No, there's nothing there. CAD, Euro CAD, nothing there either. And the reason why I'm saying there's nothing there is because there's no entry. So right here we had a buy signal. It broke the zone right here, but it's too close to the next zone right here. So if this was to come up way up here, then yeah, this would be a good buy. However, price is still down here, so it's too early to make that move right there. So I'm going to delete that. Let's see, Euro CHF. It's probably going to come down because the CHF is gaining strength. So this is kind of iffy because a lot of the Euro pairs were heading up. You can see they're all they're not spiking, but they're pushing up because the Euro is kind of in strength. However, with that news that came out earlier, it might just continue downwards. So I'll just mark these up. Maybe I could enter some sells for these, but it's just too risky because it can either spike up or it can spike down. There's a lot of different scenarios that can play out for that specifically. Euro USD, I'm surprised this thing's coming down. This thing should be going up because I don't know if anything from the Euro happened, but for some reason the US dollar dropped when it should have gone up because there's no stimulus. This would have affected the US dollar and should have brought it down just like it did for US 30. So this is an iffy pair. I might just entertain it, take a look at it, but it's kind of weird that dropped. because so if you guys don't understand how price moves, so generally if price is going down, that means that the second currency is stronger than the first. However, if it's going up, that means that the first currency is stronger than the second. So right here, price was going down, but this is like, it just doesn't make sense because the US dollar should be weak after what Trump, announced earlier. So I don't know what's going on here, but this is going to be, it's going to be risky. All right, so Euro USD, nothing there. I mean, I wouldn't take it even if there was something there. GA right here, this looks like it would have been a good buy entry right here. Yeah. Because price came down, then it broke right back up. But it's too late for that, so I'm not going to call that. I did have it marked up from yesterday. I think I was going to call it, but I didn't. Nothing there for GCAD, nothing there for GC, GJ. So I got out of this trade already at TP2 for 50 pips. I think we posted that yesterday too. Let's see. Yeah, so it hit 50 pips on Monday, actually, Monday at 6 a.m. So it actually hit a long time ago. Or actually, today's just Tuesday. It feels like it's later. But it did hit TP2 right here. So I got out of this trade. It's still active if you guys are still in it. However, I don't think it's going to be a safe hold if you're buying because, like I mentioned, the safe haven currency JPY is going to gain in strength with the CHF, following the Trump stuff. It's GN right here. I don't think we had this active, or we might have. Let's see, nothing there. Nothing there either. So we do have this where it dropped below. However, this drop was due to the Trump news. So it's a little too risky. It's not something that I would necessarily want to take. Same with the CHF. This is going to continue dropping as well. Looks like it's just too close to the zone though, so I wouldn't take it. Next one, NJ, NU, UCAD. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the US dollar. I don't know why it's gaining in strength because I don't think that US news from Trump was any good. That's weird. Even this, the CHF. I don't understand how could the US dollar be strong after he just killed the stimulus talk. I don't know. That's just how the market moves. So it looks like the US dollar is actually pretty strong across the board, which is unusual in my perspective. I'm not a fundamental trader, so I might have my analysis wrong on that, but I would expect that for the stimulus to be killed, obviously I would expect the US dollar to be weak. However, it looks like the US dollar is kind of strong, which is weird because the US dollar is strong, plus the safe haven currencies are strong. So like, I don't know what to believe. All right, so I mean, there doesn't look like any entries here, so I'm gonna take this off. Let's see, Euro, there's nothing there either. Euro JPY. Technically, there would be an entry here. Maybe we should just call it. Uh, 60 pips. Yeah, John, I agree. Here, let me see. I'm just debating if we should call this or not because the problem with me calling this right here is that it cuts into the zone. Yeah, let's see. It's like it's something that I want to call, but then I also don't want to call it because it just looks a little risky. Let's see. We have 2 active trades right now. So EN, that didn't close above. Wait, did we have this? I think this was an active trade that we already hit full TP. But looking across the board, it looks like all of the, besides EU, it looks like all of the Euro pairs are pushing up. Diamond said no official call. What do you mean, Diamond? This would be an official call right here because price broke the zone. We got a sell signal. So it would just be a late entry because technically you would have entered right here. So this would be an official entry. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it. Thanks, Tiffany. Tiffany gave me that push. She said to trust my intuition. And just looking at this, it just looks like a good trade. You know, anyways, our stop loss, our TP1s are going to be like around the halfway mark. So it, you know, once price reaches those points, we're going to move our stop loss and profit anyway. So it's not a huge deal because I think it's going to drop at least well enough. So I'll stop. All right, now, because I'm going to stand up because I'm getting tired of sitting here and get my desk up. It's a cool standing desk I just got, guys. So if you guys are new here, I was using a normal desk for a while, but I got the standing desk now, which is pretty cool. So we got this coming up right here. Got my little mat. Fix this. All right, let me turn on my lights in my office too. So, all right, cool. So it looks like we're good to go. Got my standing desk. Got everything set up. Get comfortable. Got a little mat. All right, looks like we're good to go. All right, so let me finish posting this signal right here. We got sell stop. Pips. CV wants to be 15. Cool. So I got that signal sent out. You know, I'm just gonna enter market. If you guys want to enter with me, feel free. So 60 pips. 5% risk. All right, so I'm already in the trade, guys. So if you guys want to hop in with me, feel free. If not, you guys can put a sell stop there. And this is my live account, so I got some skin in the game. So you guys don't have to worry if I think it's a good trade or not, because I'm already in it, so I don't have a choice. All right, I'm already in profit, guys. Check that out. Let's go. Alerts here. 230 pips. Nice. It's dropping down pretty quick, so I'm already in profit. So if you guys are in that trade, or if you guys are thinking about it, I mean, I'm already in the trade. Okay, so let's see. We got full TP right here, 60 pips. All right, cool. I got this all stop loss too, just in case. All right, cool. So let's see. A diamond said if it's considered a little late, when would you have entered exactly? So here, let me just break this down, Diamond, for you. So if you were to enter this trade, you'd enter at the same exact price, but you would have entered when it closed right here at 10 a.m. However, price was above the entry and it hasn't hit TP1 yet. So technically, if you were in this trade, it would still be active and still wouldn't have hit TP yet. And this is why we entered right here, because it's the same exact entry. It's just at a later time. So there's not really much different here. I mean, if you enter this trade over here when this candle closed, see, if you were to enter when this candle closed right here, we'd still be entering at the same price. So if you move it forward, price retraced a little bit, and then it came back down to entry. So if I send out this signal at 10 a.m. this morning, it's still the same exact signal that would have been sent out right now. So that's why it's a late entry. The only reason we're entering is because it hasn't hit TP1 yet. So if this if this entry happened and it hit TP1 already, then we wouldn't have made a late entry because that trade's already pretty much done with. Because once it hits TP1, it could either continue down or it can, shoot back up. So that's what makes this a late entry. And, this is exactly where we would have entered if we did the original entry, which is the same exact thing. It's just at a different time. Okay, so now I'm done with analyzing the all of the pairs for that candle close. So now I'm going to go over all of the questions. So sorry guys if you guys asked those questions and I haven't gotten to them yet. I was just analyzing stuff for this candle close so we can make an entry, which I'm already in. I'm in profit right here. I take this for about, what is this, 0.45 lot size, which is 5% of my account. So if you guys saw my account when it was a couple weeks ago, it was, or no, last week actually, it was at like 4,000. So I grew this, 1,100 within a week. And this is a small account. It's not a big account. It's only like 4,000. And if, I'm trading on forex.com. So the thing is leverage isn't that high. So you can see what's possible here within a week, 1,000, which, it might not seem like a lot of money to you, but it's profit, and, profit's profit to me. All right. So let me keep going around, and, so let me go back to Don Hughes' question. He wanted me to check out GJ. So GJ is probably going to move the same direction as EJ, but we're going to analyze that from scratch anyways. All right, so we got GJ right here. This is the same one that we have open from, we technically had this open from the 4th, which was on Sunday. So we entered this trade on Sunday. It already hit TP2, so most of us got out, including myself. However, you're still in the trade, it's technically still running. So, looking at this here, this drop happened because of the Trump news. So obviously same time, 10 a.m., you see it spike down. That was because, the stimulus thing happened and stuff like that. So due to that right there, it might push it down further, because if the stimulus talk isn't happening, then a lot of money is going to go to the safe haven currencies. Like I mentioned before, it's going to go into the JPY, and it's also going to go into the CHF. So that's kind of what I see happening right here. But I can't say how long it's going to drop for. It might come down a little bit, and then it might just shoot right back up. There's no guarantee that it's going to keep coming down, because the thing is, so Trump said this, that he's cutting off the fiscal stimulus negotiations, but you don't know what he's going to say tomorrow or an hour from now. What if he changes his mind? He's like, all right, you know what? We're going to talk about the stimulus. So he does that. And then what happens? Instead of it coming down, it's just going to come right back up. So it's a risky thing to do. However, for our EJ position, we're going to let it go to TP1, and then we'll figure out what happens there. Like once it hits TP1, we can move our stop loss and profit, so we can lock in profits. Similar to what we did with GJ on Monday or Tuesday. So once it hit TP1 and TP2, I moved my stop loss and profit. So I got stopped out and profit at TP2. So we'll just have to wait and see how, the market reacts to it. However, it's still technically active if you guys have that active from Sunday. But yeah, after analyzing this, let's take a look at UJ. It's going to be doing the same exact thing. Or no, UJ is a little different, because it's weird, because strength is going to the JPY, which is a safe haven currency, but it's also going to the US dollar, because we're not talking about the stimulus like John said. So John said, stimulus would have killed the dollar. So there's no stimulus right now. And that's why the US dollar is keeping its strength. So the thing with this is UJ just might move sideways until something happens. So if they start talking about stimulus, then it'll go down. And then if Trump says, we're not going to talk about stimulus, it might go up. It just really depends on, whatever direction that it moves at. Let's see, Ryan said, what's the TP1 and TP2 you took for your sell? So right here in the premium channel, it is TP1 is going to be 123.802. And then TP2 is going to be 123.652. So those are the two right there. I think that's it for that one. Let me go look at the next questions. All right, cool. So Benjamin wants us to take a look at CJ and NZD/USD. So CJ is going to move very similar to all of the other JPY pairs that we were looking at. However, it's a little different because they're both, like I mentioned earlier when I was going over all of the pairs, CHF JPY they're both safe haven currencies. So depending on what's stronger than the other, it'll continue to move in that direction. So right here with CHF, it looks like it was moving up for a while. So it was moving up from right here. That means that the CHF was stronger than the JPY. However, it started coming down right here when Trump released that news, and then it came back down. So here's the problem with this. It's going to be hard to determine, what direction it'll move in because they're both strong right now. So what might happen is it might just go sideways. It might go sideways or it might slowly go, well, yeah, technically sideways. It'll slowly go down, slowly go up. And then when you least expect it, it might shoot up or it might shoot down. So, I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that can play out with this because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The FOMC is going to be releasing their minutes tomorrow. Check the news. Yeah, so they're releasing the minutes tomorrow. So that could affect either pair. I mean, it really depends on what's in those minutes. If there's something that was missed, because I don't think, well, Powell spoke this morning. So pretty much everything's going to be reiterated, but I don't know if there's going to be some new info that we missed or that's, analysts missed and they're going to redecipher it as something else. So this is probably going to affect the market, which, could affect it pretty heavily. I'd be careful with this. So yeah, with CJ, with CHF JPY, I personally wouldn't trade this right now because, the last thing you want to do is have it go sideways and then you're in for a buy and then it ends up spiking down, or you're in for a sell and it spikes upwards. I would wait for some sort of confirmation. So I'd wait for this to, maybe drop a little further, like break out of this little area right here. Once it drops a little further, then you can enter a sell. However, if it breaks above, then you can enter a buy. But right now, I don't think it's a safe pair to really trade because there's no real bias right now, especially with what happened earlier. All right, cool. So let's take a look at, see what else we got here. That's it for CHF JPY. We'll look at NU now for Benjamin. NZD USD. All right, so checking out NZD USD right here. Looks like it's coming down. So we did get a sell signal right here. Generally what that indicates is that it's going to come down to the next zone. So I do see it continuing down. So hopefully you're in a sell, Benjamin, or you're thinking about entering a sell because it's probably going to continue to drop a little further. Not a lot, about 16 pips. So I wouldn't enter it right now. But if you're currently in a sell, I think it's fine because I think it's going to come down, test this zone, and then it could do one of two things. It could either break through it and shoot back further, shoot down further, or it can reject off it and shoot right back up to fill this gap or whatever. Or maybe even right here. So what might happen was it might come down, establish a lower low, come up, establish a lower high, and then continue down further. But I think it definitely has a sell bias unless something happens that causes the US dollar to grow weak. So, if the stimulus talks actually start to happen, maybe it might affect it. However, it's just a matter of time. So me personally, I wouldn't enter this trade currently because there's not enough space here. Like I mentioned, there's let's see. Yeah, there's only like 15 pips. You got to pay 2 pips spread to get in and out. And then that's 4 pips right there. So you're only pushing for like 10 or so pips, which is, it's a scalp move, decent scalp, but it's not something worth, I mean, I personally wouldn't risk anything and just hop in for like 10 pips or something like that. But our EJ looks good. Look, I'm in profit $12. We just got into this trade, small position. So for 0.45. So that's looking cool right now. I'm gonna let that run. But let's see what else we got here. So let's see, that's it for those questions. All right, cool. So Ryan Powell wants us to take a look at NASDAQ. Let's pull that up right now. Let me just pull it up on a clean chart because I don't really trade NASDAQ, but I can analyze it for you guys. So here's EJ right here. Close all that stuff. Open NASDAQ. All right, so this is a naked chart right here. I'm just gonna draw my zones, turn on the K2SR. And then we've got a ton of zones right here. So let me just draw these zones over here. We got that. Let's see. So generally when these zones kind of cross over like that, I just create a bigger zone. So that's one zone right there. Or we can even connect it down further. And then have another one down here. All right, and NASDAQ looks like a mess. Like it was going up so nicely over here, and then it just got into a crazy mess right here. So like I mentioned, for every other asset that we draw the zones for, you can see here that price respects these zones perfectly. You can see price basically bounces from zone to zone. And then even after this big push, price came down, and then it was like a staircase. It like came down, retrace, came down, retrace, came down, retrace, and literally just kept doing the same thing. So same situation right here. I think NASDAQ is going to continue consolidating within this, this little area here. So price came from here. It can either continue down, reject off this point, shoot up, and then come there. And then it might reject off that point too. So once it's up there, it might reject back down. However, if it closes above it, like up here, then I would enter a buy and then ride that thing up. But currently right now, it's just too risky because like where price currently is right now. Here, let me turn on the momentum indicator so we can see the direction of momentum. So we got that sell momentum right there, but that was due to the Trump news. So like I mentioned before, this is it's a tricky time to enter a trade because the thing is, this could either fill the gap like we were talking about earlier, or it can continue back down. So, taking this trade here, I don't think it's going to respect technicals. Like even though we have these zones here, I don't think price is going to respect these zones currently because, there's a struggle between the bulls and the bears right now. So, price can either come back up or it can shoot back down. So it's literally a 50% chance, either way. If you take a buy here, if you take a sell here, it's not something that I would recommend taking. It's not something that I would take personally because there's just too much risk involved with that specific, entry. Unless, like I mentioned earlier, if you have some sort of extra edge, with the way that you trade, or, maybe you found some information somewhere, then maybe you can take a lucky hunch and try to take it. But me personally, I don't like to trade, things that are too risky. Like I want to make sure that I have a good understanding as to where price is going and where price currently is. So like right here, like I mentioned, there's too much uncertainty. Price can either come back to fill this gap or it can continue down. So the last thing you want to do is enter a buy and then it just ends up spiking down. You get stopped out. Vice versa, you don't want to enter a sell and then price corrects back up to, fill the gap before dropping. So like what could happen here is it'll shoot up, stop you out. Like they might just spike price a little bit, like spike price up here with a nice wick, like the body will end right here, but the wick will shoot up here and then it'll just come back down. So this time it's a risky time because it gives a lot of opportunity to the market makers and institutions to manipulate price right now. Because, just put yourself in their perspective. If you're a market maker or you're an institution and you're looking at these little retail traders that don't know what they're doing and they're kind of just, betting whether it's going to go up or go down, they're going to mess with you regardless. So let me check out the IG sentiment. I'm sure majority of the IG sentiment is going to be for sells because everyone is following the hype, like they're following that sell. So let me check NASDAQ 100, IG sentiment. And that's another thing that I need to cover too, because a lot of people, they get too stuck on following the hype where they forget about the rules and their strategy. If you have a strategy, just stick to it. Don't change it because you're trying to chase the money or whatever. I'm surprised here. Look at Nasdaq. So there's 56% of people long. So it's kind of right down the middle, and it goes both ways. Like I mentioned earlier, I was kind of anticipating a lot of sellers. So the problem with this right here is that if there's 56% of people buying, so it says 56% of client accounts are long in this market. So because of that, if I'm assuming a lot of those people that are buying are trying to buy at a discount, right? Obviously, it makes sense because it's just like any stock investor or stock trader. Generally, when price drops, to a discount price, they'll enter buys. So what might happen here is they might push it up a little bit, and then once there's enough buyers, so right now there's only 56%. If this goes up to like 60, 65%, you know what's going to happen? They're going to spike price down and stop everyone out. And then what they're going to do? Shoot it right back up. So it's something that you need to be aware of, and be careful when analyzing this. You kind of have to look at it from a psychological perspective, because I think the main thing to think about is, what are the suckers doing? Like, what's a sucker bet? Like if you're in a casino and you're playing like roulette, there's a sucker bet that you can take. Um, it's basically all those extra bets that are that you think you have an edge with. Like say you're playing roulette and you try to bet on red or black, right? A lot of people forget that there's a green. So those are considered sucker bets because technically the edge isn't in your favor. The edge is still on the house, because you can pick red or black and you could still lose because it could hit green. Same situation right here. They're looking for what retail traders are doing. So if you're going to follow the sheep and you're going to do exactly what everyone's doing, you enter along because everyone else is trying to buy at a discount. What they're going to do is they're going to trick you. They're going to push price slightly up, so everyone gets all excited and they're like, buy Nasdaq, buy Nasdaq. Everyone's trying to buy Nasdaq, right? And then as soon as this pushes up to like 60%, 65%, 70%, they're going to spike price down to stop everyone out. And then they're going to shoot it right back up. And I'm sure you guys have seen that. It happens all the time, like literally. So like, look, check this out. This is an example of a sucker move right here. So check this out. This is let me just delete everything. This is a clear trend down, right? Where's the parallel channels? Right here. So this is an example of a sucker move. Like right here, check this out. This is a nice trend down, right? So people here, we can't go back in time to see where sentiment was, but if you go back and if you look at this from this perspective, say if you're just analyzing the chart at this point, it's establishing, look, a lower low, a lower high, lower low, lower high, a lower low, and then what you would expect here is that it's going to continue downwards. So if you're gonna act like the sheep and follow exactly what everyone else is doing and enter a sell because you think it's gonna come down like that, look what happens. So like I'll go back to this point over here. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with price actions. So you can see price comes down, it comes up, right? What do price action traders do? When they see the rejection off this trend line, they enter a sell stop right here, right? And then they have like their 1 to 3 risk reward right here. What happens? They get stopped out right away. And then it ends up shooting up the opposite direction. That's what I consider a sucker move right there. Same situation right here. This is dropped right here. So a lot of people are anticipating this to continue down, which, oh no, sorry. I got it mixed up. A lot of people are anticipating this to be like a double bottom right here, right? People are considering this like some sort of bottom that was established. So what happens is a lot of people are going to try to enter buys right here with their 1 to 3 risk reward right here. And then what happens is they're going to push price up slightly. And then when there's enough buyers there, they're just going to dump it. So like when I trade the opposite of what everyone else does. because, you know, majority of people fail at trading because everyone does the same thing. So you kind of have to do something different. So when you're analyzing a trade, I want to make sure that you analyze it from both perspectives. So if you're entering a buy here, you need to analyze and see what's the worst case scenario. So if you enter a buy over here, you need to think about what it's like playing chess. You have to think about what the other player is doing. Obviously, if you're entering a buy here, you want to know what the sellers are doing. So right here, this is my analysis of it. I think they're going to push it up a little bit. And then once there's enough buyers, they're just going to spike you back down. So it's just too risky. I mean, that's still speculation on my part too. But me personally, I don't want to trade how everyone else is trading, because if you're just going to end up getting burnt. But yeah, so that's NASDAQ for you guys. I don't really see anything else there. Let's see. Ryan said I took the sell on MT4 and I'm negative. Let's see. So Ryan is on. Wait, how are you negative? I'm in positive. I'm like in profit even more right now, bro. So this is the E. Oh, it might have been because of your spread, Ryan. So depending on your broker, my spread is pretty low. I have 1.2 spread. I don't know. Some brokers might have like, see, my spread's pretty tight. It's like less than a pip now. Your spread might be like a couple pips, like 3 or 4 pips, maybe 5 pips, depending if, you know, your broker is that wide. So that's probably why you're in negative. So what's going to happen is you have to cover that spread first before you make any profit. So that's probably what's happening with you. I wouldn't worry too much because it does look like it's coming down and it's looking really good. So I would just hang on. And then once it reaches TP1, I'm sure you'll be in profit at that point. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So Ryan said, well, I'm in positive now. Yeah. Because I think it pulled back a little bit and then it was probably your spread too. So you had to cover that spread first and then it pulled back. So you're like double negative and then it came back down and then you shot back in profit. So that's good. All right, cool. So let me keep going down the list. So I looked at Ryan's trade for NASDAQ. Hopefully that helped, Ryan. I mean, that was as far as I can analyze it. Generally, I can analyze it further if there's a K2 entry, because then I can go and break it down for you. But like I mentioned, there's just too much going on right now due to the news earlier this morning. And it's not something that I would personally trade currently, because I don't like to trade when there's a lot of manipulation in the market. So let's see. We got another question from Donahue. He said last one, GA. So let me pull up GA real quick. The Aussie generally gets affected when you know, some kind of US news. And you can see here that there's spikes down all across the board for the Aussie pairs. So GA would be considered an Aussie pair because it's the pound paired with the Aussie. And technically there would be, I mean, it would be bullish from the move this morning. So you can see right here, like this bullish move after Trump spoke. And this is an entry here actually. So technically this was a valid entry from this morning at 6 a.m. I can't remember why I didn't call it. I think it was a little too late. Oh, we had a US news this morning. I forgot. So looking at the news, there was US news at 6 a.m. or no, 7:40. So Powell spoke at 7:40. That's why we didn't take this trade at 6. However, it's still an active trade. So if you're thinking about taking it, I think a buy would be decent. Let's see, I'm gonna set this up right here. But me personally, I wouldn't enter this trade because check this out. So TP1 and TP2 would probably be somewhere around here. You know, maybe TP2 and TP1. So technically right here, if you were to enter this trade when the official entry appeared right here, then technically you would have gotten stopped out in profit over here if you use the exit strategy. So I wouldn't enter it late at this point because it's just a little too late. Yeah, this drop here was just, I mean, it would have hit TP and it would have dropped in profit and it would have stopped out with some profit, but I wouldn't enter. I would wait for another entry because look, this thing might continue to pull back a little bit like it did right here. So see right here, we had an entry and then it pulled back. And then this is where it provided a better entry. Because if you entered at this point versus here, you would have, let's see. Yeah, you would have locked in 32 pips right here. Sorry guys, I was like listening for that noise. I don't know if you guys heard that. It was like a beeping noise. I thought it was a fire alarm. Trying to look out the window, see if there's anything crazy going on outside. But yeah, okay, so GA right here. I personally wouldn't take it down here because it technically would have hit TP already. So we technically would have been out of the trade. So I don't want to see this like pull back a little bit, maybe hit bounce off here or shoot even further like it did right here. It broke past the support and then it shot right back up. So I wouldn't recommend you enter this right now because it's just too risky and there's a lot of different scenarios that can play out right here. Like right here, price can either continue up and hit full TP or it can just drop back down right here and test this and then maybe shoot back up, or it can spike down like it did right here a little further to stop you out and then shoot right back up. So I think it's just too risky right now to enter. So I would just probably hang tight off that for a little bit until there's like another entry. So I would re-enter this if this closes below here. So if this closes below like it did right here and then close back above it like it did right here, then I would take it. However, right now it's just a little too late to take this trade. Ryan said, what's a K2 entry? So a K2 entry could be, one of 5 things. There's 5 different strategies that we apply. It just really depends on what strategy that you're applying. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the strategies, Ryan, but there's a couple other ones. So like say right here, see how this matches right here, how we have a green buy signal and the trend meter is green. This would be considered a K2 buy entry for the intraday strategy. And it would have hit full TP right there for nearly 150 pips, right? That's one entry there. Again, this would also be an entry for the other strategy. So this strategy right here, the second strategy that I'm going to be discussing is going to be the K2SR zone strategy. So right here, price closed below the zone and then it closed above it and we got a buy signal. So that would be considered a K2 zone trading strategy. Right there, again, you hit another TP for 150 pips. And then another entry over here. So let's see if there's another one right here. So right here, you can see that the trend meter is, I'm trying to find another entry. So same situation right here. We had a sell signal. Trend meter was red. This would have been a sell right there. It would have hit TP right there for about 68 pips. Again, right here, a buy signal. It matches with the trend meter. You take another buy. And then it probably would have, you would have moved your stop loss and profit once you reach like 60 pips or something up here. So there's a lot of different ways to analyze, a K2 entry. There's not just one way. But for the signals, I'm using the zone strategy. So that's where, it differs a little bit. But you'd have to be more specific with what K2 entry you're talking about, Ryan, and I can go over that strategy for you. But there's a bunch of strategies that you can apply from it. So let me just go on the website real quick. I'll show you what strategies I'm talking about. All right. Just gonna pull up the course real quick so that you can see what I mean. Because I'm not sure if you are part of the premium, Ryan. Sorry, there's a lot of Ryans in the group, so I'm not sure if you're in it. But yeah, if you're subscribed to the K2 strategies, if you scroll down here, we have a whole bunch of different strategies. We have the official intraday strategy, which is what I went over here. Basically, when the signal matches the trend meter, it's red and red, you enter a sell. Right here, you would have entered a sell and you would have hit, TP right there for about 160 pips. Again, right here, the momentum pullback strategy. So for that strategy, if they don't match, so let me see. I'm gonna try to find an entry for you. Yeah, it's kind of hard to find an entry on the 4-hour for that strategy because generally, the signals are going to match. But the same gist of it, it's basically the same thing, except it's opposite. So like right here, if this was green down here and this was red, then you'd enter a buy instead of a sell because you're trying to catch some momentum swing upwards. And then you probably would have hit, this is a big move. I'd have to find an actual entry because it's hard for me to explain it if there isn't. Let me just see if I can find one real quick because I don't want to. we're probably not going to find one because it looks like everything lines up. But yeah, if you wanted to look at that strategy, you can go on the website. It's right there, the K2 momentum strategy. Then we have the scalping strategies. Then we have the SR strategy that I went over earlier, and then the pivot strategy. So there's a ton of different strategies that could qualify as, there's a ton of them that would be considered a K2 entry, but they're all totally different. So the thing is, if a strategy applies for one of these and then it also lines up with another one, like I went over, let me see, like the one that I covered over here. So like this one over here, oh yeah, so like this right here qualified as an entry for the intraday strategy. It also qualified for an entry for the K2 SR zone trading strategy. So if they both line up, that trade is almost one, I wouldn't say 100%, but it's very likely that it's going to hit. And it obviously did. So if we go and replay this over here, see, if you saw this right here and this lined up, you're like, all right, cool, this is one entry. And then you're like, all right, cool, this is also a zone strategy entry. And then also if you want to check the pivot entry, you're like, damn, that's like 3 strategies that lined up, right? The intraday strategy, the SR strategy, and the pivot strategy right here. So if all those line up, I would go like full leverage on this. I mean, technically I wouldn't, but that's how confident I would feel with this trade, because this entry lines up with 3 different strategies, like totally different strategies. So if that happened, you enter a long position, you put all your money in that trade, and then, I mean, it wouldn't be this far out. You'd probably keep it a little closer, because generally what I do is, or what I recommend is, so if you were to enter this trade right here, let me hide this stuff. You would put your stop loss at the previous swing. So we enter right here. The swing would be right here, right? For about 100 and let's do 105. We'll just round it up. 105 pips. And the reason I recommend that we put the stop loss right here is because if price closes below this point, then it's going to be establishing a lower low, right? So if it does that, then, odds are price is probably reversing and it's probably going to head downwards. However, if price doesn't reach this point, it's probably going to continue up and just keep pushing up further. So right here, if we set that up, when we enter that trade, it would have hit TP right there quickly. So after 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, straight to full TP. But yeah, I mean, going back to what I was mentioning earlier, there's a ton of strategies here that you can apply, and they all are a little different to some extent. So depending on, which one you like the most. So if you start to subscribe and you have an active subscription to the K2 strategies, I do one-on-one mentorships. So that's what I'm going to do after this. So after this call, I'm going to get on a one-on-one mentoring session with James, I believe. And we're going to be going over, any questions he has, and I'm going to go help him master these strategies. So if you guys want to hop on that after this call, you guys can just sit in on it. You guys won't be able to ask any questions, but you can sit in on it and see what James has to ask, because he probably has the same questions you guys have. And I'm going to be there helping him one-on-one. And that's pretty much available to anyone who subscribes to the K2 strategies, because obviously I just want everyone to be successful. We all apply the same strategy. If it works for me, it's got to work for you. And if there's something that you guys need help with, I can help you guys, because I created these strategies. So literally, I mean, there's a ton of stuff that I can help you with. Let's see. Ryan said, what's the best free strategy on TradingView? I mean, personally, I can't really recommend anything because this is the only stuff I use. There's really no, I can't recommend anything because I don't use any other strategies. I've been using the strategy for, I don't know, 5 years now. I've been using it for a long time, like longer than that, but putting everything together, it's probably been complete like maybe 5 years now. So this strategy right here was the only one that I used. So over the past couple months, with COVID and stuff, I started creating these other strategies that are very similar to this one, but they just provide for different entry points. So, obviously trading is what I like to do. So whenever the market's not working my way, I make adjustments and I make sure that, I can cover all my ends. So like, if this doesn't work, I'll have another strategy to use. If this doesn't work, I'll make another one, and so on. And this is something that's available to, pretty much everyone. Let's see what else. Yeah, so Ryan said, what's the best free strategy on trading? I'm a beginner struggling trader, lost 230 after Trump news broke today. And then Roy said 230 losses less. Yeah, no, I mean, 230 is really not that much if you think. I mean, it might be a lot to you, Ryan, but I lost like 150 off that trade too, on my US 30. So, but I made it back on the other one. So let me see if I could. I don't know if I could pull up the history on here. No, it's not going to show. But yeah, I lost the US 30 trade today because I was at the gym. I didn't have time to adjust my stop loss at TP1. Unfortunately, it was only up there for a few minutes. So it shot up and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna let it run because it hit TP1 so quick. So I thought I was gonna keep shooting to TP2, but I turned around and a few seconds later, it hit stop loss and I was like, crap, whatever. So I took that loss, but then I won for the EN trade, or what trade did I share earlier? Yeah, for the EN trade. So I hit this for 55 pips. So I made about 300 bucks off this trade. So it literally covered my loss for US 30 and gave me a little more profit on top of that. So it all worked out pretty perfectly. Let's see. Ryan said, I can't see the screen. It's blurry. I'm not sure which one are you talking about, Ryan. For the signals, the strategy that I use for everything is going to be this one right here, the K2SR zone trading strategy. So you can sign up to it for free. So you can just go to k2trades.com. And then you can sign up for the free intro course. And when you go there, you can see all of this stuff here. So you can see all of the strategies. However, you just won't have access to the indicator. So you can't apply it yourself, but you can actually watch the videos and see how everything's applied if you want to do that. And yeah, just a reminder, this is the strategy that I use for all of the signals, for all the Forex signals. And then for US 30, this is the strategy that I use for the daily US 30 entry, which is the K2 daily US 30 trading strategy. All right, so I think that's it for questions. Let me see if there's anything else here. Sorry, Tiffany. Yeah, so I see Tiffany's question for NZDCHF. So I'm going to go over that. And then after that, unless you guys have any other questions, I'm going to have to get off because I got to have that call with James in a little bit. If you guys want to hop on that. Yeah, actually, so me and James' call is going to be at 8 p.m. So it's going to be about an hour from now. So if you guys want to just hang out for like an hour or just, hang out in the chat, I'll be posting the link on there. So in about an hour after this, I will go over there and send you guys the link. But let me just look at NZDCHF real quick for Tiffany, and then we can be on for the night. So let's see. Oh yeah, so we were talking about this earlier, right? So I remember I sent you the chart for this. So here is the problem. So we do have a sell momentum right here. So if you took this entry over here, it would have hit full TP by now. So what I'm anticipating happening is it's probably going to continue to drop a little further down because it's already below here. So it could either drop a little further down below and then reject off it and shoot right back up, or it can just reject from where it currently is right here because price wasn't able to break this zone over here. So it looks like you can do one of the two. Like if this closes as a strong bullish candle, you can see right here that there was another test. So what might happen is it might come down like it did right here and then shoot right back up. Maybe not this far, but maybe up to this point. But it's just a risky trade, honestly. I mean, I know you said you were in it. You forgot to put your stop loss back on. But I would just hang on to it. So I would just slide your stop loss in profit as it moves. So like right now, price is here. I would just leave your stop loss slightly below here at 60.33. And then as it continues to move up, just move your stop loss. So let's see. Currently have it like somewhere right here. And then as it moves up, just like slowly move it up with it until it gets to like, to a certain point where you're okay with the loss, because it's technically we got stopped out of this trade already. So I think if it moves up to, somewhere over here, you should probably be fine because you still would have had that loss anyways if if that was the case. But if it keeps pushing up, you can just trail the stop as it moves up. Just slowly move it until you either get stopped out or it just shoots back in profit. And that's just what I would recommend to be safe, because there's a lot of scenarios that can happen here. Like this can either continue farther down or it can shoot back up, especially with the Trump news. CHF might be coming down further, but who knows? I mean, a lot of anything could happen at this point, especially with FOMC tomorrow. So the Fed speaking tomorrow, or they're releasing the minutes, which could affect the market as well. But yeah, guys, so I think that's it for the live trading webinar. But if you guys want to sit in on the mentoring session in about a little over an hour at 8 p.m. my time, you guys can go ahead and sit in on that. I'm going to be sending the link in the Telegram groups. So if you guys are in the Telegram groups, just wait for that link. And then you guys can just sit in on it while I mentor James. So yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out on the Telegram. I'll be on there. Just pretty much preparing for the mentoring session at 8. Otherwise, if you guys have questions, feel free to put them through there and I can help you guys on there, or we can get on another, live session probably tomorrow or Friday. I'm not going to be having a live session this Thursday. I'll probably hold it either tomorrow or on Friday. But yeah, guys, so I'll post this link in a little bit. Thanks for showing up, and I'll catch you guys in the chat. See you guys in a little bit.